Your money, your taxes, your truck, and your road to success in the trucking industry. This is Trucking Business and Beyond, the show that puts the money where it belongs, back in your pocket.
Good morning, you beautiful bunch of Fockers, and welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It is Monday, June 3rd. We are here live. It's time for a free-for-all. Jump in and join us. Anything goes today. At the bottom of the hour, we'll be joined by Brent Hutto from truckstop.com. We'll be talking about what's going on with rates and lanes and volumes and all kinds of industry news. In the meantime, jump in with whatever you've got. It is a free-for-all today. If you're watching on the live stream, you can pick up the phone and dial 855-950-3835. If you're watching on the app, you can hit that call now button. We'll get to those calls here as soon as they start coming in. I have a couple things I want to talk about, not a lot. And we'll get to your calls. So go ahead and line them up. Let's see, where do we want to start today? It's not Health Day, but I am going to talk about this because I keep hoping that we will really start addressing driver health in this industry. And unfortunately, a lot of times, the programs that I see, and some of the programs are really well done as far as marketing and partnerships. And I'm kind of looking at one of these right now. It says prevent chronic diseases within your trucking company. Decrease healthcare costs due to diabetes, heart disease, obesity. Increase retention of healthier and happier drivers. Keep your fleet moving with our easy-to-integrate digital health platform. So I think everybody knows I have pretty strong opinions about health. And if you don't address diet with the proper diet first, everything else will fail. We've watched this for 50 years now. And unfortunately, this program looks really well done, except it's not going to be effective. I even see they have some pretty big partnerships. It looks like they're on Road Dog Radio, Overdrive, Trucker Tools. I saw a couple others in here, Freight Waves. Somebody's got a lot of money behind this program. So I was looking around. Maybe it's a really good program. It could be. I keep hoping we will get some good programs in the industry. But all I had to do was read this paragraph. It says, Offshift was built to help truck drivers prevent chronic diseases. That's their claim, to prevent chronic diseases, such as diabetes or heart disease, anywhere they drive. Now, the first sentence on how they're going to help you prevent chronic diseases says, helping them find a primary care doctor out on the road. I can promise you this, if you help somebody find a primary care doctor, they are never going to prevent chronic diseases such as diabetes or heart disease. They do the opposite. They perpetuate these conditions. So this always worries me when I see this big flashy site with a lot of marketing and, like I said, some big partnerships, but a lot of times you just pay for those partnerships. And then when I look to see how are they really doing this, I can find very few details about the diet. In fact, I'm not finding much about the diet at all. This is about making it easier to integrate with our healthcare system, or our sick care system, as I like to call it. It's not going to work. This is absolutely will fail. This is not going to make a single driver healthier or happier. So it goes from their first step, we'll find you a primary care doctor out on the road. Next, how to exercise in the back of the truck no matter what your size or health condition is. Another huge mistake. This will fail. If you try to focus on exercise first, it is going to fail. You can't take somebody who is obese and unhealthy and think that some sort of a workout that was designed for the back of the truck, I assume we're talking about the sleeper, is going to do a bit of good. Even if you design a really good exercise program, all you're going to do when somebody is out of shape and obese is make them hungry and miserable. Then the next step, suggesting the healthiest options at any fast food restaurant, no matter what your diet is. So they're not, based on that, I'm assuming they're not even talking about helping people with diet. You decide on your diet. We'll just show you what you should eat at fast food restaurants. That's absolutely not going to work. So if somebody is trying or attempting low calorie, low fat, I guess we're going to point them to the salads. And it's going to fail miserably when we tell them they have to start working out and they can only eat rabbit food. Like I said, very slick site. Well, here's something else that kind of bothers me, I guess, because I work at, well, this tells us who they're really marketing to. So they're really not marketing to drivers. They're going to market this to fleets. I can already tell. And they may have some success at this. It sounds good. Fleets will buy into this. They feel like they're doing something. But here is their first quote, or testimonial. Very first one. See what the former president of the American Trucking Association has to say. Well, here's what he has to say. Offshift has built a how-to roadmap for health and wellness, finally making it possible for the 3.5 million truck drivers in the United States to get and stay healthy. Truck driver health and wellness today remains a Tier 1 industry priority as it has for decades. I don't even remember this guy. William Canary as the president and CEO of ATA. I can't remember when that was. Not that I pay all that much attention to the ATA, but I usually recognize the president and CEO at least. What a bullshit statement. Come on. Listen, truck driver health and wellness today remains a Tier 1 industry priority as it has for decades. Okay. Then what the hell have you been doing for decades that we have the most unhealthy population in the country now? People point it out. Trucking is a horribly unhealthy industry for the drivers. Well, according to this guy, it's been a top-level Tier 1 priority for this industry for decades. Well, then you are a miserable failure because of programs just like this, and this is going to fail as well. The other problem I have with this, not that it matters, it's a private company, they can do whatever they want, but the more times people try, the more frustrated they get and the less likely they are to try, and their expectations go down, and pretty soon they give up. And that's all, I'm looking at the app and, they're kind of showing, somebody doing some sit-ups on their sleeper bed. Come on. This isn't going to cut it. But like I said, this will probably go over big with fleets. They may actually have some success here. All right. I don't see any phone calls. What's going on this morning? I've got some other things we can talk about, but jump in here and join us. 855-950-3835. If you don't see anything in the chat. Are we live? Looks like we are. If you're in any of the chat rooms, you could send me a text there. I'll try to keep an eye on those and answer those today as well. What else we got going on here in the news? Oh, speaking of the ATA, I might as well just keep beating on them a little bit. Experts unpack ATA's latest campaign to boost industry's image. So, the ATA has had some slogans over the years. What's the one I liked? Good stuff, trucks bring it, I think, was one of them. They've actually had a couple good ones, whether you like the ATA or not. Like I said, the ATA is not here for the drivers. Never has been, never will be. That is an association of large carriers. They're going to do what's good for large carriers. The new rebranding, the new image, and the new slogan, I absolutely hate. I think they went from a very positive message, like good stuff, trucks bring it, or whatever that was, something like that. And most of their slogans like this over the years have been on the positive side. I don't think this new slogan is positive at all. It's negative, and to me, it sounds like a threat. So the ATA mostly, when they do these image campaigns, it's not about trucking, it's about the general population. How does the population view the trucking industry and trucks on the road and truck drivers? So this is ATA's marketing and branding campaign to get, the average person to think well of trucks. In the past, every time we have had, driver groups get together and threaten shutdowns and threaten strikes and threaten blockages, and I have said this is a really, really bad idea. If you want to turn the general population against you quickly, start threatening them with the fact that you're not going to deliver their stuff. That will not go over well at all. The other thing I've often said is why do we seem to have this attitude that we're the only group that could shut down the industry? What if the fuel industry decided to shut down today? We might have a couple of days of fuel in the system, and then we're done too. There are so many groups. We have an industry that is everybody's dependent on everybody else. And this idea that we're just so, you can't live without us. Well, that's true, but we wouldn't be able to do our job without a lot of other people doing their job. So I hate when the industry takes this attitude, especially when they turn it negative. Again, if you want to go with good stuff, trucks bring it, I kind of like that one. That's not too bad. It lets people know, hey, we are a pretty important part of the supply chain. But here's the new one. And again, to me, it just sounds like they've taken a negative turn with this one, and it's almost like a threat. And I don't even like the sound of it. Here it is. Nothing without trucking. Who in the hell got paid to come up with that? Nothing without trucking? Are you kidding me? I just think that's awful. I also read a survey. I want to talk to Brent about this in the morning because I think some of this information came from Truck Stop. I think it was a Truck Stop survey. Survey shows owner-operators and small fleets optimistic about demand. I'm wondering why. I'm almost turning a little more pessimistic based on what I've been seeing in the overall economy and in the market. So we'll talk about that as well when Brent gets here. I had a couple other articles here, but now the calls are... So everybody woke up, calls are starting to come in. FMCSA's lease purchase task force to discuss safety incentives, opportunities, and agreements. The FMCSA has created a task force to, I guess, study lease purchase programs. They're going to have 2 meetings this summer. That's it. They're just going to have 2 meetings. One of them, listen to this. One of them, the July 18th meeting, will primarily cover the opportunity that equitable leasing agreements provide for drivers to start or expand trucking companies and the history of motor carriers starting from single truck owner-operators. The June meeting is all about truck drivers and lessees to share their personal experiences. Then the July meeting is all about, it's kind of like a rah-rah session. We should have these agreements so drivers can get started and they can build huge trucking companies. Yeah. The problem here, again, is we are focused on, and this is government, we're focused on the program itself, the lease purchase program. That's a mistake. You can write the best program in the world. It's not going to matter when you put the wrong people into it. And that's what these programs, it's how all these programs are designed. No requirements to get in. So if all we do is we keep rewriting or re-regulating what the lease has to say, it's really not going to change the horrible failure rate of these programs. We have to educate the people we're putting into the program, and there really isn't any of that going on. The few programs I've seen with education actually teach people really bad ideas. One big one I've seen, this whole idea, they teach this in a lot of lease purchase programs. Only buy enough fuel to get you through this trip. Don't leave fuel in your truck over the weekend. That is a bad idea in so many ways, and they promote it as some way, I guess, to be more successful. All right. I think we're going to get to the calls. I got a couple other things here, but I want to get some calls in. So let's go to Ohio. Mike, welcome to the program.
Good morning, sunshine. Isn't it a beautiful day in paradise?
It is. I don't know. I guess I started off a little negative this Monday. The news just seemed to hit me the wrong way today.
Yeah, well, sometimes it does that, but you got to turn that around.
Why do we think? Why do we think that giving truck drivers easier access to our failed healthcare system is going to make them any healthier? Why do we believe this stuff?
Well, I don't even know where to start with that one. But it's going to be, it'll never work. I mean, they're okay, so they go in and tell them eat a salad.
Yeah.
Are they going to?
And do some sit-ups on your bunk.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
Look.
Maybe you could go into business
maybe
with them and say, we'll sell these X bars to all the truck drivers. You could partner with them. And then I could buy one half the price from a company driver and pawn it off on me.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe somewhere deeper in the program, and I'm going to look later, not that it's going to matter. Maybe there's some good advice in there somewhere. But you always have to go with what people lead with. They lead with their best stuff. And their best stuff is their very first sentence. We're going to help you be healthier by making it easier to find a primary care doctor on the road. Doctors don't make anybody healthier, ever.
No.
It even says to prevent chronic diseases. Show me a doctor anywhere outside of the functional world, and that's not what they're talking about here. Show me a doctor anywhere that's preventing chronic disease. They're not. They treat chronic disease. They manage chronic disease. They have their words for this. They don't prevent it ever.
Just drive around the country like I do and see all the buildings going up, and then 2 months later you see a medical sign on the side of that building.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
Just amazing. Yeah, I mean, you think, oh, that's going to be a big apartment building. Medical facility.
Yeah. But, and in the meantime, for some strange reason, all of our big food facilities seem to be catching on fire. But that's just got to be a coincidence, right?
So the reason I called today was, I deal with Dr. Wolfson. He's in Costa Rica most of the time, and last time I was in Arizona, I didn't get to see him, and I took an echo. He wanted one. the center wall of my heart is a little enlarged, and I got a couple leaky valves, have probably since I was born. But one of the things that kind of bothers me about some of this is, you know, I have a health coach, greatest, nicest lady in the world and everything, but my blood test, I talked to you earlier about, I think back kind of like yours a little bit, you know. She looked at my insulin 2.3, and then my A1C 5.8. Your explanation made a whole lot more sense than hers. She just thought that something was going on and said it, you know, I have leaky gut. You know, the whole time she's talking to me.
Well, wait.
thought-
What was her indication that you have leaky gut?
Well, there's some markers there. You know
Okay.
how you read that wheat sumer, and it says
Yeah,
there's
okay.
a possibility
Got
could
it.
be some leaky gut.
So
and,
it
you're
was
low
a-
on this deficiency,
They-
low on that.
Yeah, so it was a
Yeah,
test to
and-
check for
and-
permeability. Okay.
But, you know, 4 years of going through whole protocols and all that kind of stuff, every time it's come back with something different now, indicating, you know, leaky gut. And beginning to wonder about some of those, how sensitive they may be or something, because I literally, in my person, on this last blood test, it did nothing but the Lion's diet. And I told her, I said, you know, kind of, I don't know if you've ever dealt with somebody that had almost 3 months of Lion diet, no cheating, and it's come back that good with a little bit of leaky gut, possibly.
So,
And she was like, Mike, I'm so worried about, you know, those leaky valves that you got, blah, blah, blah. And my APOB was a little higher than my APOA, which has been that way, you know, for 4 blood tests. And I've done the fish thing, I've done the supplements. I've never been able to kind of reverse that. My triglycerides she was happy with, my HDL she was happy with, you know, all that stuff. My, you know, blood sugar was 83. Everything showed good. Now, I understand that small and big particle stuff, but, you know, she just said, you know, I'm so worried that, you know, about a stroke, or a sudden heart attack, or something, you know. And so she got this whole protocol of stuff, and when I got done, like, putting it in the store, figuring up, okay, I'll do it again, you know. Well, it was $900 a month. For 6 months.
That's
And
crazy.
I went, no, wait a minute, wait.
That's
No,
crazy.
wait a minute, you know. I can see probiotics, maybe. I can see the, you know, the row, you know, pills that he has for the, all that kind of stuff, because I just can't hardly stand seafood anymore. I eat so much of it, trying to reverse that. And then I said, I had an echo. I said, has anybody looked at that? She goes, I don't see that. And I said, well, I had an echo. Well, let me look here. And she, well, I'll have to get with Dr. Wolfson on that now. Okay, that's fine. But the shocking thing to me was, if I went into a hospital and got an echo, and I don't mean to take anything away from Dr. Wolfson or any of their staff or anything, but if I went into a normal doctor and got an echo, 2 days later, I'd be getting a phone call from a nurse or somebody saying, hey, we got your echo back. Not really any changes. Or, hey, we got a problem here. We need to see you again. And I was kind of disappointed in that. You know, disappointed that she hadn't looked over the blood tests and everything before we got on the phone and had a protocol. It was hit or miss, it was talking. And I sit there and I look back and I go, in life, I'm a guy that eats nothing but one ingredient foods, literally. And it's all clean.
Right.
At what point do we just sit there and say, wait a minute, I'm eating clean, I'm doing this, and we get on with life, instead of, like you say, you go to a doctor and they, you know, blow something up and you get worried.
At some point, we have to do what you just said. We have to know that our best odds are with, like you described, one ingredient foods, real food, not stuff that came from a factory, primarily mostly animal products.
Right.
Try to keep them as clean as you can. We are starting to see new patterns. There's a lot of this going on. I've talked about the, you know, Dave Asprey's whole take on diabetes. That could be a major shift. You know who I'm actually talking to? We may have on the show again soon. I'm pretty excited about this. We've been having some conversations. Dr. Barry.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
I know. So him and I are talking, and he just posted something the other day that I really liked, and I'm going to go find it, and I'm going to steal it from him. He actually, when he posted it, he said, "Feel free to use this." It's a graphic, and he talks about the proper human diet. And I've kind of worked around this idea for years. He put it in a really nice chart. So one of the reasons we struggle with trying to find the perfect diet is there isn't one. Everybody, we've
Right.
talked about, bio individuality, but I'm not even sure that it's the fact that we're all that different genetically, or I don't think we are. I don't think that's the difference in why some diets work for some people and some don't. You know what I think the issue is? I don't think it's genetics, or it might be a little bit of where our ancestors came from. I've talked about that. I really believe now it is more about how much damage has been done to each person with the garbage food we've been eating for decades, and then how much healing you're able to do. What I mean by that is, there's been this pattern of Dr. Mercola talking about 300 to 400 grams of carbs a day from fruit, rice, honey. Those seem to be kind of the safe carbs we talk about. Well, then you've got Saladino doing that. Now you've got Dave Asprey doing that. And Dave Asprey is at like 6.5% body fat, and he claims 300 to 400 carbs a day. Well, I believe that's because Dave did a decade of healing, and now his body can handle that. But you can't start
Right.
somebody who is really unhealthy like that. Then the other thing thing that I think is happening is I don't believe we have figured out yet how many other problems are in our environment. We kind of beat around the bush, we test for it, but I'm not sure we understand a lot of the impacts that the forever chemicals are having, that things like glyphosate, all the aluminum that's in our environment these days. We know how bad aluminum can be. When the pollution, stress, when you start looking around, there's an awful lot going on that just is a mismatch with our genetics. The modern lifestyle now look at what's accelerated in the last 10 years. 10 years is a very, very short period of time. How about all the screen time people are getting? How about the fact that we're completely surrounded by electronic devices and wireless signals constantly? I don't believe we know enough about how those things are affecting our health. And I think that's why we get cases like yours and 3 or 4 other people I've talked with that I'm working with that have tried almost everything now. They've tried just about every test. They've tried all kinds of supplements. And it's not that they're not healthy. I mean, I'm sure you feel better than you did 10 years ago, but we're not.
Yeah.
But we still have issues, and we want to solve them. And we feel optimistic because we fix so many things. We're just frustrated with these last couple of things that just won't fix, or some people who just can't lose weight no matter what they do. And they're doing a lot of things right. There's still a lot of this we just don't know.
I think that when the last 3 months, even though it was that Lions diet, I could tell you without a shadow of a doubt that was the best 3 months of feeling that I ever felt in my life.
Yeah.
And, she wanted me to go back to eat some fish or taking these supplements and stuff. It's been a little over a week. I've gained 10 pounds back, and I'm still exercising, doing what I normally did.
Yeah.
Like adding some other foods back in. And you know what? I don't have the gut doesn't feel right. And I don't know if it's the supplements that I'm putting in, or I don't know if it's going back to eating foods, or what. But I'll tell you something about that EMF stuff. I've read, I had cataract surgery about 3 years ago, and new lenses put in my eyeballs. man, I could see good.
Yeah.
And I had, sometimes you get a little bit of watery eye, which, people say, well, watery eye, your eye's watery. Well, that's dry eye. It's overcompensating. So, you can put a couple of drops in, and
Right.
3 or 4 hours later, if it's still got the problem, you put a couple more. It's called tears, is what it is. I think just a saline solution or something.
Yeah.
But, and it helps. But I will tell you one thing. I hate to drive down the road, and my eyes are watering all the time. And I'm putting those drops in, and it seems like it's not doing any good. You know what I think I found out the problem is?
What's that?
That's a side effect of EML.
Oh, really?
Watery eyes.
Ah.
Headset, yes.
Interesting.
I can take my headset off and drive in my pickup, or I can be at home working in my shop. I don't even notice the watery eyes.
Ah.
I think it's the headset.
So you start thinking we have Bluetooth, we have Wi-Fi, we have 5G. We've just got,
right.
And we just don't know. And here's the other thing. I believe there are forces that want it to be that way that we don't know. I don't
Right.
think we try very hard to figure these things out, whether they're affecting us or not. And it takes a lot of money.
Right.
The people with the money have no
Yeah.
incentive to go do the research and the testing.
Well, when you have a guy that will have one of those meters and he puts an ear pod down on the table and he's standing 3 foot away from it with the machine, and then he pushes it up to the ear pod and it just goes berserk.
Right. And we're sticking those in our ear.
I'm telling you, something.
Like millimeters
Yeah,
away
and
from
it's
our
right there.
brain. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Or we wonder, and there's lots of reasons, but why the fertility rate is going down. Why now people are having less babies because they're choosing to have less babies, but a lot of people are having less babies because they're struggling to have them. But what do? We take a device that receives 3 different wireless signals, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and 5G. And we stick it in our pockets as close to our sexual organs as they could possibly be. And we carry them there all day.
Right.
Do we think that maybe that has something to do with it?
Never know.
I know. So
Yeah.
I still think we've got a lot to learn.
Yeah. So what would you do if you were me? Go back to maybe eating what I was eating and see what happens?
Yeah, I think at some point when you've tried different nutritional options, you've tried supplements, we're testing, nothing's really moving the needle. I think you go back to eating the way that makes you feel the best in the moment. I just can't understand if we don't know what the absolute best diet is or what nutrients we need. We don't. I'm really starting to believe that. Then how can we go wrong based on something that at least makes us feel better all of the time? I just don't see how that could be bad.
Right.
The one thing I would say that I have noticed an improvement on, and I'm not big on fish oil supplements. I think are garbage. I even the ones we sell. I have not recommended a fish oil supplement to people in years, even though we have some in our stores. And I have some people who say, no, I took it and I feel better. My joint, great. If it worked for you, then keep doing it. But I've had it not work for me. I've had it not work for a lot of other people. The one thing I will say that on a carnivore diet, if you're not eating a lot of organs, and most people aren't, I have found that a beef organ supplement, bison is even better, beef organ supplement, primarily liver, and throw in some of the others. And that seems to help. And that would make sense because we just don't eat the animal the way we used to eat the animal. When we say carnivore, we're eating, ribeyes and eggs or just ribeyes. Here's another one that really actually makes a lot of sense. And I've switched to this and I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. Ribeyes are wonderful. Absolutely love them. But you know what I've been eating a whole lot more of?
What's that?
Ground meat. That may be
Ground beef. Yeah, I eat a lot of that.
next to the organs. That is our best bet because they throw all kinds of other scraps into the ground meat, gristle, and there's some bone getting in there, and there's joints and cartilage, and that's how we should be eating. I would make the claim that ground beef may be the healthiest cut after organs when it comes to beef. So I'm eating a lot more burgers.
What do you think about those? What do you think about those salmon roe desiccated stuff that Dr. Wilson has?
If you are going to take a omega-3 supplement, that would be my choice. I still think you're better off, if you can, eating more seafood. But I'm kind of going through what you went through. I have loved seafood my whole life. Seafood is not something I have to force myself to eat. But for some reason, and it's been almost a year now, I just don't really crave any seafood at all. In fact, I look at it and go, I really just don't want that. And I don't know why that's changed.
Yeah. Well, I cook up a lot of hamburger, so it's convenient to carry with you. I can just reach it, grab a hamburger patty cold. What I do is locally we have a grass-fed, grass-finished farm down the road from me, so I order their hamburger, and then U.S. Wellness has got the same type of hamburger, only it's got all the organ meats in it. And so I just put it in a big bowl, mix it all up, make my hamburger patties, grill it. So that's how most of my beef is, as far as what I eat. And then I'm taking the bison pills and the others, what I'm doing now. So
all right. Hey, Mike.
But definitely the vegetables aren't working. So
you had me so enthralled with this conversation that I forgot Brent was waiting for me. And then
tell him hello.
Then I turned on Brent's camera without telling him. I should probably warn you before I turn your camera on, shouldn't I, Brent?
I like this. We're good.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I'm hearing the double again.
Oh, let me go fix that.
All right. Love the shirt.
Don't you? I know.
That's what we ever did.
I know. I love this one too. Tell me if the echo's better now.
Let's see. Testing. Yep, perfect.
Got it. All right.
That was a great call to listen to, man. I'm with him. Look, here's my thing about screen time. And I've got 5 kids, and for anybody's got kids, we're always looking out for the best for our children. And for some reason, we put our children over ourselves, which I guess that's the selfless way to do it. But I think about this. I think about how screen time, about the information that comes over the screen time that you watch and how it rewires your brain to not trust people, not to be paranoid, to overreact to things like that. To me, Kevin, that's the thing that gets me. Look, I'm with you on the harmonic and electronic distortion that we're happy to put in our brains. And I'm with you. I got the Apple Pro AirPods that have the noise canceling. It freaks me out every time I put it. So, but I mean, to me, it's the other thing is how it rewires your brain a bit on what to think.
You bring up a whole different point. We might as well go down that road. So if we think about it, I'll throw in one more way that this isn't good for us. So we talked about the EMFs themselves, the electrical fields, the fact that that phone receives 3 different types of wireless signals. We don't even think about that. We've got the 5G to make the phone work so you can make a phone call and get on the internet.
Right.
Almost everybody's got their Wi-Fi turned on their phone because they're using Wi-Fi to connect to something. And then Bluetooth makes me insane. And when you're in the truck of or the cab of a truck, and you start looking at, there might be a Bluetooth enabled radio in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Bluetooth enabled phone. There could be a Bluetooth enabled GPS and a Bluetooth enabled headset. And all of these signals are strong in that cab, and these guys are driving around and living in that cab with those signals 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And we're not really, so that's one, the signals themselves. You're now talking about the content. We got that's a road to go down. Here's another one. the light that reaches our
Oh,
eyes from
yeah,
the
the blue eye, the blue
is
light. Yeah, that's right.
really
Yeah,
bad for us. It messes with our circadian rhythm.
yeah.
It's not
Ooh,
natural.
a big word.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'll tell my kids all the time about circadian rhythms, and they look at me like, like Labradors. They're like, "What are you talking about, Dad?" I go, "Man, don't mess with the circadian rhythms.
That's right.
That's the natural rhythm of your body that knows when to stay awake. It knows when to rest. It knows when to sleep. It knows when to everything. You get out of your rhythms, it jacks everything up."
So we've got some great examples of that, by the way, that we've identified over the years. And a good example, Sarah, she's actually one of our practitioners here.
Oh
She's
yeah,
still a full-time driver.
right.
Sarah has all kinds of really amazing health credentials, and she lives this stuff. And she's got some struggles, and we've really identified the fact that team driving is even much more unhealthy than just driving in general. When
Team
you
driving?
well, let's think.
Oh, oh, because of that, the truck
Yeah,
never stops.
yeah. Let's think about a couple things here.
Oh yeah.
If
Huh.
it's driving itself, the fact that we're not moving because we're stuck in a cab all the time,
Right.
we're not getting much movement. We're not really standing up much. You're going to be sitting down or laying down a lot in a truck. The constant vibration of the truck moving, I don't believe,
That's
is
a big
helping
one.
for us.
Mhm.
We are stuck in this little metal box with all these signals flying around, which probably isn't a good idea. But now somebody or even both people are on a really goofy sleep schedule too.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you talk about messing up somebody's circadian rhythm, make them drive at night and sleep in the day, and it's a mess. And we have not found a fix for that at all.
Well, I've said to people over and over and over, and I'm all for people sacrificing to make their lives better. And look, sometimes people that work like the graveyard shift and work overnight and everything. And I just look at people and go all the time. I said, there's a reason why your body starts producing its own natural melatonin to put you to sleep when the sun goes down, not
Yep.
when it gets dark out, but
Yeah.
when the sun goes down. And
Right.
so it's an amazing thing. And so it's not good for any human being to be awake when you're supposed to be asleep, because your body, as I'm experiencing now that I'm actually testing out, believe it or not, how about this, Kevin? I'm
Yeah.
testing out a CPAP machine
Are you
because
really?
yeah, I'm testing it out just because
Okay.
just because I had so many interruptions in my sleep. And I know you and I've talked a lot about that. Everybody has a little bit of a sleep apnea in them, no matter what, because it's kind of part of the natural human experience. But
Right.
mine was pretty pronounced. And I can tell you this, and look, like it, love it. I fought it forever. I have slept better and I feel better
I hear it a
today
lot. I
after doing it for the last 18 days. I've yet to get sleepy after lunch or at all any day.
that that
So
that that's got to tell you something.
I
I
don't
know.
I don't I don't trust all the technology because it's kind of new or this. But we'll see. I'm not telling everybody to go out and go do it because but anyways. But my point though is that it's all about getting proper rest because your body needs that as much as it needs to be awake and doing things. But
I agree.
yeah,
All
man.
right. Want another topic?
Yeah, I'm ready. I got a few for you too.
Oh, good.
By the way, is this is the first official episode where I'm getting to co-host with you.
Oh, that's right. You are the official co-host now. You're not a
Yeah,
guest anymore.
this was
Hey,
your idea, and did you forget?
I didn't forget it. Just slipped my mind this morning.
It was
That's
a
all.
temporary oversight.
A
Yes,
temporary oversight. That's right. I was distracted. Shiny
that was it.
objects.
Yes, well, it's good.
Squirrel.
This is why you have a good partner to remind you of things
That's
that you've
right.
already decided.
That's right.
So,
See, I'm moving towards this idea of co-host on almost all my shows now.
oh, fun. Okay.
And the reason is I, I like answering all the questions.
Yeah.
I
Well,
really do. And I try to read as much as I can and research, but there's no way, and I'll use you as the example because you're here today, based on what you do all day long,
oh yeah.
there's no way I can be as knowledgeable about this topic as you are.
Well,
I just can't. I
fair.
couldn't read enough. I couldn't spend enough time doing it. This is what you live and breathe every day.
I do.
So, tomorrow I've got 3 co-hosts
Wow.
because it's a maintenance day and these guys live and breathe maintenance every single day. I can't say that.
Yeah.
Thursday I have Mike and Kevin Beckett because they
Right.
live and breathe tires and alignments. And,
Right.
even Friday, If there were a topic that I would say was my strongest of all the things I talk about, it's probably fuel mileage.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
without a doubt. Yeah.
I worked more on fuel mileage than any other topic, and there was a time where I arrogantly believed that I may be the most knowledgeable person about heavy truck fuel mileage in the country. I
Wow.
really believed that.
Okay.
Now, I didn't know as much about aerodynamics as an aerodynamic engineer, and I didn't know as much about, but overall, how do you put a Class 8 truck on the road and get the best fuel mileage possible? I was wondering. And then, people like Henry Albert, I'd look at Henry and go, boy, Henry's been doing this a long time too. He's pretty smart.
Yeah.
How Joel Morrow and I never
Joel,
crossed paths.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Same thing. I felt the same way about Joel when I met him. Yeah.
We started in the industry almost the same time.
Mhm.
We were only 2 hours away from each other.
Right.
I was in Northeast Ohio. He was in Norwalk. We're about 2 hours away from each other. We were doing the exact same things. I never had heard of him till just a couple years ago.
Crazy.
Yeah. So now on Fridays, even though that's my best topic, the show is so much better with Joel and Henry and Alec. They bring so much to that show.
Oh,
So,
well, I highly respect all those guys. Here's what I'd say about, and thank you for the compliment for me. And it's like everything you do. You got to have great resources, Kevin, and I applaud you for bringing in the resources to help your audience better understand and operate and create success. And so, what I would say about me personally is that I've never driven a truck for profession, but I can bring the information, I can bring the statistics, I can bring sort of the point of view of the marketplace and experiences in different parts of the market, certainly how the broker maybe thinks or how the shipper maybe thinks and that sort of thing. And I can talk to you about the statistics in the marketplace and the things that are going on. But however, you're where the rubber meets the road. So you're the application. I can talk about it. And then you talk about application. What does it mean in the carrier, the trucker's life that makes a difference for them? And so to me, that's why I personally have really enjoyed our friendship on top of just the friendship, but I've enjoyed our business relationship since 1999, with you. And so because I watch you give application to the information, the data that the everyday trucker needs in order for them to really do what they love to do, which is to drive the truck. So to me, that's why it's so much fun being on with you, because I just watch you make it make sense.
You bring up another topic, and I'm going to follow that thread for a second. You said you've never driven a truck, or even if there are people who have driven a truck, but not commercially. I know people that are a part of the industry, and maybe they go get their CDL and they drive a truck once in just to kind of say they have it. But but of all the people I just named that I depend on,
Right.
none of them until we get to Friday's show have ever driven a truck commercially.
Right. Yeah, for a living. Yeah, it's
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
Certainly they've been in the industry.
Right. Yeah.
Bruce Mallinson certainly knows how to drive a Class 8 truck, but he's never done it commercially. But let me tell you something that just happened to me the other day. I thought this was hilarious. So I have driven a truck quite a bit, as a matter of fact. I've been driving trucks most of my life, and I did it commercially for a pretty long period of time, and I've owned a bunch. So last week seemed to be the week of let's argue about truck parking.
Oh,
we were. We might even go down that road because it was kind of crazy what they're actually bitching about. But so there, I saw this post, and the post was actually pretty offensive. So I took umbrage with it, and I commented on it. And the next thing I know, the whole thing exploded. Freight Waves just wrote a big article about it. Overdrive wrote a big article about it. I had a space on. But here's what somebody told me. Somebody actually said, you have no right to have an opinion about this topic because you're not a commercial driver.
Oh, that's not a fair statement.
Oh, come on. You've got to be kidding me. Like, I don't understand this topic because I'm not currently a driver.
Well, that's not a fair statement. Yeah,
when I tried to, just point out, and I don't want to go through my whole history, but I just tried to point out, look, I've driven a truck, million plus miles, been around yeah, but you're not driving currently. And I said, are you going to forget how to drive a truck the minute you stop driving a truck?
Right.
No, you're not going to forget this stuff. And how many people do you know that are more involved in the industry overall than I am? The owner operator world. The not
Oh,
many. This is what I do every day, all day.
you'd be the top of the pyramid for sure.
Yeah, but that was their take. If you're not a commercial driver, you can't even have an opinion about this.
Well, that's current. That's sort of a little bit, Kevin, of current ideology or methodologies that people go to try to shut somebody down. You know, and there's a lot of people saying this, so you're not this or you're not that, so you can't comment on it. But the basics are the basics, and we can have an experiential opinion on the basics. Uh, Trucking is a business. It is its own unique business, but it is a business that has the same standard. Well, it has fixed and variable expenses, and it has certain operating parameters just like any other business. And
Yeah.
so for you not to be able, first, certainly that's just a bad mistake. But like if somebody could almost claim the same thing about me, oh, you've never driven a truck. However, I've been around it for the last 27 years. I've been in it in from demographically, psychographically, technology driven. I've seen freight move. I've seen all these things. I have not just anecdotal experience, but I have specific face-to-face experience with the shipper, the manufacturers in the marketplace, with the brokers in the marketplace. I can't tell you how many owner operators I've spent time with doing empirical research and talk to them about what's important to them, on top of being friends with you and many other owner operators in the marketplace. I think I can still give what, and I'll always qualify it. I think I can still give at least what I could give is some wisdom and some advice as to how I might respond in a certain situation, given the fact that I'm still not a trucker. But I get it.
Yeah. So let's we'll talk about the parking thing for a little bit here. So this topic's been brought up for a while. I've been talking about it for years. Like most issues, I believe it's a free market issue, not a government issue.
I agree 100%. I don't mind the government helping out in some places, but it's not a government solution.
If the government can help out, but here's where I am on the government helping out today. I've never been a big fan of it because I usually don't see very good results. But now, when we are $34 trillion in debt, and we are adding $1 trillion of debt every 100 days.
Ooh, really?
Do you know that's where we're at right now?
I did not know that. Wow, that's painful.
$1 trillion every 100 days.
Well, that's another topic. We can dig into that some other time on why that we're adding at that pace.
Have you been a part of the conversation where we figured out how much $1 trillion really is?
I've seen the videos on $1 trillion, and it will blow your mind
away. Let's do this one, because this one really hit the nerve for me.
Right.
So I've been doing this with every guest I have on the show, so I might as well do it with you too. But you're the co-host now, so so if you had to guess, and I'm going to give you some clues here. Right. If you had to guess, how many days ago was 1,000,000 seconds? Oh, if we counted backwards 1,000,000 seconds, how many days ago was that?
3 years. I don't know.
It's 11 days.
Oh, it's 11 days. Okay, so
11 days. No,
don't. I was just in this discussion with a bunch of guys I went to college with, and they did the numbers.
Yeah,
and it's shocking. Yeah.
So 1,000,000, which is a big number.
It's a big number.
It was 11 days ago. Okay. Now, what year? I'll give you a clue. What year was 1,000,000,000 seconds ago?
Well, let's see. If 1,000,000 was 3 days and
11 days.
11 days. Sorry, 11 days. And 1 billion is 1,000 million. I don't know. Back in Star Wars times when you're sure on.
Actually, you're pretty close.
Yeah.
1993.
Yeah.
1993 was 1 billion seconds ago. 1,000,000 was only 11 days.
Yeah.
A billion was 1993.
There you go.
What year do you think 1 trillion seconds ago was?
1,000 billion? Oh my goodness. If that's 20 years ago, 93, 2003, 2000, no, it's 30 years ago. Gosh, I don't know. Stone Ages?
So So it's amazing how the human brain has a hard time comprehending
It's
this.
so
Because
big. Yeah,
I've
without a
asked,
doubt.
I've asked really intelligent people. I've asked people
Yeah.
who understand math pretty well, and they do the same kind of thing you do. You try to go through the math in your head, and you almost can't.
Yeah.
It was 32,000 BC.
There you go. Like I said, the
BC,
Stoners.
32,000.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
even get? And then when you know that,
Right.
and we are adding $1 trillion of debt every 100 days.
Well, the thing that gets you on this, when you go back to this 32,000 BC, the thing that most shocks most people is we go, oh yeah, it's 32,000 BC. We don't have any recorded documents back before about
No.
6 or 7,000 years ago. We have zero
Nothing.
information back before that. So it's just but I get it. I'm all for the estimation of time, but yeah, it's a shocking thing, Kevin, when you think about some of the decisions we made during the pandemic and the funding of things, but if depending on how you look at unit economics, some people think that it's all fungible. In other words, it's flexible.
I know, I've heard this.
All flex. I know you have. You and Noel and I and Todd
Yeah.
Amon all had a big discussion about this. Does it really matter? Does it
I
really,
think
really
it
matter?
does.
I think in some cases got to matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah.
So I don't want the government anywhere near this issue. Although and I'll ask you this, because you probably go to events with the group that fights this all the time. Have you traveled much on turnpikes? The Ohio Turnpike?
Only when I go to the Northeast, only when I go to the Northeast, if when somebody says I'm from Jersey, I always say, what exit? What exit off the turnpike? And
Right.
so, but I have not lately.
Okay. So on turnpikes, the Ohio Turnpike's an awesome example.
Okay.
Excellent travel plazas.
Oh, without it. Oh, they sure are.
Nice.
They have great travel plazas, typical. They're in the middle of the highway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't even have to get off the road. I don't have to go down and fight traffic. And clean showers, great parking. They set up special parking for, triples. And the Ohio Turnpike even has little RV parks with hookups.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah. So that's a nice experience.
It is.
Why don't we build those on interstates?
Because the government builds interstates, and it's
The
considered
government has.
Now the turnpike's considered. That's private road, right? Because
No, the government owns the turnpikes.
So what?
The government owns the turnpikes.
Yeah, but do they own the funding? Is it a state thing or a federal thing on a turnpike? I don't know.
State, I'm not sure it's state, I would think, because everyone runs their own turnpike. Like you leave the Ohio Turnpike and you can end up on the Pennsylvania so I think it might be state. But again, it is run by a government. And
fair enough.
In that case, the government says, we're going to put these really nice travel plazas on our road. Well, why can't we put those on interstates? And the reason is because the government has a rule prohibiting it.
Oh, okay.
You're not allowed to. And one of the groups that fights for that law is NATSO.
Oh, okay. Well, because they're private enterprise, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they've already built out all their truck stops. But it should be a partnership. I don't want the government running the travel centers. Just make it allowable. Let us build travel centers like you do on your own turnpikes. Let us build those on interstates.
Right.
Now, that doesn't cost the government a penny. In fact, it could be a revenue generator if you do it right.
Oh, for sure it could be.
Right?
In a sense, all across the board, it could be a revenue generator.
Yeah. So
you look at what. Go ahead.
There's one thing the government could do that wouldn't cost us money and would improve the situation. Why don't we do it?
Yeah. I'm not sure well, maybe you need to make that suggestion. I'll give you the number to Pete Buttigieg, and you can talk to the Department of Transportation. I talk to the FMCSA almost every week.
I know you do.
About things. And look, here's the thing. The thing I appreciate about the FMCSA lately is that they're open to listen. They always respond, and they're open to listen. And it's not that I don't get like a text or email message back. I get a person saying, happy to talk to you about this. So that's a good thing. That's a good, so I'm with you. There's solutions. And we've even made those suggestions to the FMCSA when it comes to the new endeavor they're taking on with the new federal registration system for all. We've said, hey, we are here to help. Obviously, we handle large databases every day. in a for-profit business, and we're happy to help you work on these things, especially when it comes to fraud, because they're instituting a new carrier identity, with the picture taking identity project. When they do the FRS, the new federal registration system, which will help keep a lot of fraud out. So, but the point is that it's just it, and I get it. They want to be fair and balanced with what they do, but I'm not interested in. I've yet to see the federal government do it as well or as efficiently as private enterprise, and that's why I'm for private enterprise. I'm not against the government in any way. I'm just saying private enterprise finds the most efficient operating system it can, so it can maximize their return in their investment. The government does not have that as a goal. So if you don't have that as a goal, you can't hit it.
Yeah, that's a good point. So the post that I saw about parking. Oh, I got to set this all up. I've been saying for several years now, since the first time this came up, and the first time it really came up was when I heard drivers start complaining about paid parking at truck stops.
Right.
And my reaction immediately was, if you want better parking options, be willing to pay for parking.
Well, sure. For sure.
If we create a profit center around parking, we will get better parking, we'll get better experiences, we'll get better amenities, but somebody's got to pay for it. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying that every parking spot should go to paid overnight. There's no reason to do that.
Right.
There can still be plenty of free parking available. And look, let's be clear, though, nothing's free. I hear all the time, why is the stuff in the convenience store at the truck stop so expensive? Well, one, it's a convenience store.
Right.
Look at every corner convenience store. They're about the same way. Sure. And two, there is a very, very large, expensive parking lot out there that generates zero revenue, and somebody's got to pay for it.
Right. Correct.
The money has to come from somewhere, and it's a huge expense. So if you're willing to pay for parking, all of us will get better options. I really believe that. So when I saw this post, it was kind of nasty. It was and it was directed at people like me and other people on social media. It was, I can't believe drivers are willing to bend over and do whatever they have to do to get a piece of swag or a hat or a little bit of recognition from this company. And they were attacking a specific company. Mm. And guess who it was? If anybody is doing anything to make parking better in our industry right now, it would be this company, and they're being attacked for it.
Oh.
Truck Parking Club.
Well, you see... You see the hat right there.
I know. You know these guys.
On the program. He's actually doing a great job with.
He's doing an amazing job. He was being attacked.
Wow. Well, you know what, Kevin? I understand part of the attack a little bit because it's frustrating. When you think about what ELDs did to the parking, the parking shortage, it exacerbated it, right? Because ELDs make you follow as many rules as possible. Right. So it exacerbated the problem, which means it frustrates you. So I get it. I get people being frustrated. I would never attack the hand that feeds you, because the more successful Evan is, the more options everybody has for parking. And when there's more options for parking, you can drive to the maximum of your ELD hours. So in the end, it will make you more money, and you just have to pass that expense on to your operating for your operating ratio for your business, and then you end up being able to drive more miles and make more money.
Yes. Now I will say it's probably the worst situation for employee drivers. If their company won't reimburse them, that's a problem. They should, an employee should not have to take money out of their pocket to park.
Yeah, I didn't know. So the fleet that they drive for does not refund them their.
And you don't. I mean, that's an individual policy at every company. Totally up to the company. If they want to say yes, we'll reimburse you.
That's a major advantage for a fleet then, for a company driver. Hey, all your expenses are covered with so-and-so fleet.
And Evan is also working on that front. Evan goes out
all the fleets. He works with all,
right. So the one person who has committed and invested a ton of money and
Oh,
time and is
huh,
getting
yeah,
traction, and he gets attacked over the parking issue. I was just so confused. That's why I jumped in. And here's what it turned out to be.
okay,
It turned out to be one specific case, but that's only 7% of what Truck Parking Club does.
right,
So the truck stops are having a hard time managing their paid parking. And here's one of the problems they face. It's a reservation system, so you pay
yeah,
ahead for your spot.
mhm,
You show up at 2 o'clock in the morning and all the spots are full and you know you have a reservation. What do you do at 2 o'clock in the morning? Nobody inside knows what's going on.
right,
People are going to get shot over this. They probably already have. I keep seeing more and more violence in truck stops over stuff like this. Something's flawed in that system. We got to fix that.
right,
So Evan and Truck Parking Club went in and said, hey, we think we can help you with this. We can manage your paid spots. They switched it from you don't pay until you're parked in that spot.
right,
That's an improvement, and we can continue to improve from there. But again, the one company that's trying to make this all work, and they're being attacked because they're helping some truck stops convert free to paid. That was the issue.
right. Well, to me, I think about, I travel a lot. I don't drive a truck, but I travel on an airplane tremendous amount. And not only do I have TSA pre, I also
Me
pay
too.
for clear
Yep.
because at most major airports, it gets me through in minutes. And it's worth every penny that I pay for it because it helps me. And for every carrier out there, it helps me maximize my time. And I can the only thing I can't get more of is time. And at 57, I just turned 57 a couple weeks ago. I appreciate time more than ever. So,
You know,
and then honestly, I don't want to be frustrated. I mean,
uh,
sometimes the lines are long and I'm able to breeze right through 90% of the time.
yeah, I had Clear 20 some years ago. The
It
first
was
time
been
it
around
came
that
out.
long. I didn't know
Clear
that.
came out 20 some years ago.
Wow.
And then I believe it was after 9/11, maybe something happened. They went bankrupt. They had built
Well,
out
I'm
a pretty
surprised.
big network,
It's an expensive
and
endeavor.
I had joined a lot, and for me, it worked fantastic. It was when I was living in Orlando.
Oh
Orlando's
yeah.
a busy, busy airport,
It's
and
super. Yeah.
I could
Efficient,
walk.
very efficient airport.
Oh,
I
it
will.
is a very efficient airport, no doubt.
Denver's
But
not as efficient as Orlando, but boy, Orlando's efficient. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I had Clear back then, and nobody else even had Clear. It was so new. So there was
Wow.
never a line. And you
Right.
didn't have to take off. If you had a jacket on, you didn't have to take it off. Shoes,
Oh, no.
nothing. Don't take
Shoes.
anything out of your
Love it.
bag. Walk up, walk through. Yeah, so
Yeah.
so I am more than willing to pay for those kind of conveniences. And I think paid parking is the same thing. It's a
Sure.
great tool, especially for owner operators. It is a business expense. It's deductible. There's just a lot of advantages to using it. But it just shows that I swear in this industry we will argue about anything. We
Kevin, think
argue about
about
the
it.
solution.
Yeah, think about it this way. Here's what for every carrier listening to that, think about it this way. Do you want the most dependable, safe, clean
Yep.
place to park? It's going to be in a for-profit situation where somebody is trying to, and I'll say this very clearly, win your business.
Yes.
It's not so
Absolutely.
when those exist, you as the consumer, Mr. Trucker, you get the best of what can be offered to you because you're willing to
That
pay for it and someone's willing to maintain it and make sure the quality's there. And so the overall experience will be tremendously better. If it's free, guess what? You know what they say about free, right? There's no
you
such
get
thing
what
as
you
free.
pay for.
Yeah, you
And
get what
you're
you
right.
pay
There is
for every
no
single
such thing as
time.
free.
Every
Right.
single time. Hey, we got about 19 minutes. I want to make sure we cover what's going on in the marketplace, and I got a couple things I want to
It,
bring up.
the show's all yours now.
No, it's not. It's your show. I'm
It's,
I'm
it's,
your
it's,
sidekick.
it's
I'm
your
the
turn.
Robin to Batman.
It's your turn.
Yeah, I'll just be. I'm gonna put my Robin outfit on so you can be Batman.
There you go.
All right. So overall in the marketplace, just to make sure I give everybody an update, we're kind of still cruising along at and you guys are going to hate this word because you're going to hear it over and over and over from me until it changes. It's just normal. Pricing is not normal. It's depressed. I realize that, but the amount of freight in the marketplace is normal. The amount of freight in the spot market where we are is still almost 12% above where it normally is. So we've had more freight inside the spot market. The spot markets where the owner operators, 1 to 3 truck, 5 truck guys and girls are all in that marketplace. So there's still plenty of freight. And also the other metric that I'll always ask carriers to look at is go to FreightWaves and look at the outbound tender reject index. Those are tender. Those are tender rejects. Now, it's not a perfect number. Okay. This is transportation. Okay. Right. I defy you to find perfect numbers anywhere in transportation, but it's the only one out there that measures contract freight being rejected. It's not rejected, it's just renegotiated for a new amount, because some of that goes into the spot market, which means the more freight we get in the spot market, the higher the prices go. It's been at or below 5% for over 18 months. 5% is where you want it. 5% or above, you want it to be 5% or above, because the spot market grows in its amount of freight that needs to move, which means freight rates will start to go back up. Last week, it was 2 weeks ago, it was 4.95. It's 4.33 this week, which means the marketplace is just still at this normal balance where it is in the marketplace. So that's a great indicator. So the overall pressure, we had some pressure build up over the last couple of weeks because of International Road Check, which is one of the craziest things I've ever seen, where you announce a road check. But so it went up into the 80s. And just as I said, the next 2 weeks, it's going to start to come back down. It's mid 70s, about 75 right now, as far as like the amount of freight that needs to be moved with the number of trucks. Okay. So it's still at a good pressure. So there's still enough freight, more than enough freight to be moved. And there's some really good areas that you can move it in. Typically they've been in the Texas, Arizona areas. And then there's a lot of building materials in the Southeast, but basically the rates held even. They've been 240 over 240. Now look, that's a carrier rate. Okay. Put 15% on top of it.
Right.
So that's a carrier rate. The rate to the marketplace is 15% above that, because that's the broker rate to the carrier. It's 240. Okay. So put 15% on top of it. You look, that's the market rate.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So, but van didn't move a bit. Flatbed went up 2 cents. And then the big changer, again, it's been all over the place recently, has been refrigerated movement. It went down 11 cents week over week, which is a huge move. But my point though is that the marketplace, look, here's the thing. Here's one I want to encourage truckers to do what Kevin Rutherford tells you to do, which is know your numbers and know your data. Go into your load board and understand the lanes that are moving at better rates. Everything out of Texas right now has been elevated. Well, in most parts of Texas, because there's so much manufacturing going on there and cross-border coming across, going to the United States. So that's a better marketplace. There's better freight coming out of the West. There's some better freight in the Northeast. I realize nobody loves to be in the Northeast because of the traffic, but the point being is that know where the good opportunities are, and if you do that, your operation is going to be fine. All right. So anyway, so that's kind of where we are in the marketplace. Kind of still cruising along. And here's the thing. Here's the bottom line: is this: as of today, me and our chief economist Noah Perry don't see anything. And I've talked to a lot of the other Wall Street people and different people. The U.S. economy's been at 1.6% GDP for the last 6 quarters. So last year and a half, it's been at 1.6. It hadn't changed much. It's not predicted to change much. So that means we're going to hold where we are for at least the next quarter or so. And so just plan on that. If you can plan on it, you can run your operation.
Yeah. Craig posted something. I want to go make sure I get this right.
Craig Fuller?
Craig Fuller. Yeah.
Is it the one that he did on the marketplace?
Yeah, it was about the tender rejection.
Yeah. Well, they just recently, and another thing, man, go out every month. FreightWaves does a thing called State of Freight. Yeah. And it was this time it was Zach and his new sidekick, Tony Mulvey, that talked about the outbound tender reject index, that there's some indication that the marketplace is gaining in strength. It's not weakening. So because he talked about it, it's not at 10%, but it's still in the 4s, but it's getting closer to edging towards 5 and moving above 5. That's correct. That's correct.
But did you see his post from yesterday?
I have not.
So this was the one that shocked me because I'm kind of watching the numbers and I was feeling kind of like what you just described until I read this and I was a little confused.
Okay.
And there's a chart here. I haven't, you can kind of see some big movements in just the last, looks like it might even be days. So here's his post. Tender rejection levels, a way of measuring capacity relative to demand, are trending at 2019 levels. That was the year of the trucking bloodbath when the trucking market experienced the most bankruptcies in history outside of the GFC. The bulk of the trucking failures happened in the second half of 2019. We expect a similar pattern to play out this year. He's actually talking about how we're at the bottom of that market, or we're back to where we were.
Okay. First off, I love Craig, and he does a great job. You had 2018 was the ELD marketplace where about 5-6% of efficiency went out. Numbers shot way up. It was a good market for carriers, small carriers, and brokerage companies. But that was a trucking created marketplace. Right. We had a health related marketplace during the pandemic. It went twice the distance and more. And here's the thing that always shocks me. The number of single truck owner operators that came into the market with for hire single truck owner operators that came in during the pandemic, 100% more than normal. So if we had 10, we now have 20. Oof. So just to give you an idea. So my thing is that I think that it's a little different. The reason you didn't see failures or bankruptcies or people just closing the doors, which we've seen you've seen several of those recently, is because we got a lot of money from the government.
Right.
The government bolstered these businesses so they wouldn't go out of business. And so it's possible. Craig's probably not wrong. I think you'll see more failures in the next 6 months than you saw in these first 6 months because personal savings is at an all-time, is back at its normal low. Credit card debt's going up. That's consumers. However, consumer moves right into trucking. And so I think he's not wrong. You'll see more failures, but and here's the thing. When you have, in a sense, let's just say 25% more for hire entities or companies inside of transportation than you had before, certainly you're going to have more companies fail. Yeah. So I look at percentages. I don't look at total numbers because if you have that type of expansion, Kevin, you're going to have a higher number go out.
Yeah, no, you're right. And that all makes sense. And I guess what I look at is I look at individuals. Sure. I work with individuals as a, I don't want to just say, well, we're just going to lose this many people because it has to happen. I wouldn't say that at all. Yeah. I want to make sure that if somebody wants to stay in this market, we can teach them how to stay in this market.
Oh, I agree with you. Here's the thing. I was talking to a big market analyst with Stifel the other day, and we were and he gets the same question I do, which is, why are so many small carriers still in the market?
Right.
Well, it's because you and I have talked about this. Nobody can change their business faster.
That's right.
Nobody can adjust faster. Nobody can take a short period off and then come right back into the business like a single truck owner operator or a 2 truck owner operator, or 3 truck owner operator. You can make changes fast. If you own 500 trucks, you'll be lucky to do it in a year.
Yeah.
So the idea of being able to adjust, let's say you're struggling right now and you live in Kentucky. You can drive your truck to Texas and haul all day long for a period of time to maintain your profitability till the overall market comes back because you can move. So that's the thing. Here's the thing. If you own 100, 500 trucks, you can't. You got to haul in certain lanes. You got certain customers you can do business with because other customers you can't make money on. So it's a different ballgame.
Now, I know we got to wrap this up here in a little bit. So
9 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything we talk about, you and I, everything you just covered, volumes, rates, all this really isn't the core of everything we talk about, really trying to understand the supply and demand of the market, the lane, everything, right?
Without a doubt.
Well, I hate to tell you this, but somebody just told me online the other day, you and I, if this is what we're going to talk about, we're completely irrelevant now.
Oh, why is that?
Because he finally figured out. This is somebody who argues with me all the time about, the brokers are ripping everybody off, and I say it's supply and demand. And he came back and he said he finally figured it out.
Okay.
He said, supply and demand only applies to goods.
Why doesn't it apply to services?
Because he says so.
Okay.
I think he went and found a definition somewhere that left out the word services.
Well, here's the struggle with that. The U.S. economy, 70% of its strength, 70% of its strength is in the purchasing of goods and services.
Services.
60% of it is services. Now, here's the thing. Be careful about saying, well, it's services. Well, if buying a meal at a restaurant is a service, that food's got to get to that restaurant.
That's
If
exactly
it's
correct.
flying on an airplane, oh my goodness, how many truckloads of service airports? It's a connected economy. You can't just say it's goods. Now, look, the reason why we had so much freight to move during the pandemic is that goods and services purchasing in the United States flip-flopped. It went from 60% services to 40% services, and it went from 40% services to 60%, excuse me, goods to 60% goods. And we had a kabillion shipments that needed to go somewhere. I hope that you saved your money from this great market. But here's the thing, Kevin, it's all a connected universe. It's all connected together. If we have a collapse in one, it hurts the other.
Yeah. Well, and if you understand the concept of supply and demand, to think that it could only apply to goods and not services is just completely ignorant. What it tells me is you don't have an understanding of it. I mean, supply and demand works anytime money's going to change hands.
Yes.
Right? Really, it doesn't matter. And like you said, we're kind of a mix. We provide a service, but we provide a service by delivering goods.
Right.
So we touch that. Our whole market is touched by stuff, but we provide a service. But supply and demand clearly applies to services. Applies to
clearly. Oh, it has to. Yes,
yeah, it has to. Yeah,
that's economic. And I'm not trying to have any opinions on this person's opinion. I'm just saying that that's economics 101. I mean, if you look at any economics 101, doesn't matter whether you're a Keynesian economist or you're an Austrian economist or you're whatever economist, it all applies the same thing. It's all about the purchasing habits of the U.S. And remember, we're the biggest market in the world by a factor of more than 2.
Yeah.
As far as like how much each individual can spend, not the country, but each individual can spend. And so the idea is that you have to take all that into consideration.
So one last thing to wrap up with.
Yeah, man.
Have you seen the ATA's new campaign slogan?
I have not seen it.
Somebody should be fired.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I do not. They've had some good ones. You know, what was the one? Good stuff, trucks bring it, or something along those lines.
My ATA truck sitting right there. Right there. Was it got that one during the pandemic? What does it say on it?
What's the slogan on that one?
Hang on. I'm 57. Remember, I can't see far away.
That's right.
So, all right, let me go look. See, it says, oh, well, this was for the pandemic. It says, when the world stopped, we kept moving.
There's another good one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Hate their new slogan. Not only does it come across as very negative to me, it actually comes across as a little threatening.
Uh-oh.
You know, the whole...
Sure, that's not the way they meant it.
I've been fighting this with drivers and owner-operators when they make the claim, if you don't do what we want, we're going to shut the country down because we can.
Right.
I hate that attitude. First off, we're not the only industry that could shut the country down.
Right. There's a try petroleum.
Exactly. If the oil industry decides not to show up today, then we're not going to be doing our job in a couple days.
That's not the American spirit, too.
Right. So listen to this. It seems to me like they took a page right out of that playbook. Here's their slogan: nothing without trucking. I do not like. Nothing is a really negative word. I mean, it just is. Look, it's almost the opposite. They used to say, good stuff, trucks bring it. Right. I love that. It's saying the same thing, but it's positive. This is like, you'll have nothing without us.
Right.
I don't like that at all. I think that's awful.
I try not to put anything in the negative because I don't think that more success is found in the positive. And you know how it is. I mean, you're a big positive mindset guy. I am too. I think you want to frame everything in the positive. I get why they're saying it. It's saying that we're essential. The trucking industry is essential. and certainly the pandemic proved it. But it's
Well,
hard.
their slogan during the pandemic was a good one.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
That's really positive. It was a very tough time, but you know what? We kept working.
Right.
That's
Sure.
positive.
Yeah,
This
without a
message
doubt.
to me seems really negative.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. I
So
hope they don't keep this one long.
I'll give Chris Spear a call and talk to him about it.
Yeah, tell
He's,
him.
a- he's, he's been great for trucking when it comes to the federal government. He's just done a fantastic job in representing the overall effort towards. I mean, everybody's got an opinion on different things because we all have different needs and points of view. But he's been really good for the trucker. The trucking,
and I think he has as well. And I try to remind people that look, drivers and owner operators, the ATA is not here for us. Just understand that it's not. They're not against you either, because a lot of people think they are. That they're somehow. They serve their customer. Their customer are large carriers. That's who they serve, and that's how it should be. It doesn't mean we're. In fact, it probably means I'm going to disagree with them on things because I really serve the small side of the market, and we have conflicts. But that doesn't make them bad.
Yeah, what I'd say about this is it's all about getting representation, and it's hard for a one truck person to have representation in that. But I can tell you what does happen. I mean, I sit on several committees at the ATA, and so I speak on behalf of the owner operator part of the marketplace to them, on like the Highway Policy Committee and the Independent Contractor Committee. And I can tell you that they're fighting. That the ATA is even fighting for the right for independent contractors to be able to run their business the way they want to.
Right.
So in general, you're right. The most of the constituency are larger fleets, and that would make sense because it really, remember that ATA is an advocacy group, so they politic for you. So, but there's a way in which we've even talked about at Truck Stop and trying to use Truck Stop sort of customer base as hey, this is how this base of customers feels.
Yeah, I did see this morning in the news, Chris Spears had his contract extended for 5 years.
Well, good. Like I said, he's been great for. I've just never seen anybody stand up to some of the poor decisions by our government like Chris has. He's just done such a great job.
I agree.
Yeah,
all right. Any other words of wisdom you want to close with?
Well, other than here's something. I want to close on a positive. I saw that there's a new bill that was brought by several entities. One, your good friend Dave Owen at NASTC brought this bill about fining brokers, finding people for double brokering in the marketplace up to $10,000, and it's just a bill that's been brought forth. But OIDA joined it, TIA joined it, National Association of Small Trucking Companies, and several other people jumped on it. I just like that now. Look, that's the slow way to get it done. I realize that, but here's the thing: it's still necessary. It's why I'm for the FMCSA doing this new federal registration system, because they're trying to modernize the way in which they register and consume data on registrations for all the people in the market. And that it will always be better. But just remember, anything with the federal government, it's designed to go slow because they have to be very cautious what they do. But I like the bill because it just puts a little bit more teeth, even if it looks good in PR for right now, until it takes a long time to become a law. I just like that there's groups that have gotten together and said, we're going to do everything we can to get fraud out of the marketplace. And in the end, in Brent and Truck Stop's point of view, is to protect the carrier in the market. Because if you're a broker and you move 500 loads a month or 500 loads a year, one's not a big deal. If you're a trucker, it's a big deal. So we want to do everything we can. But I was encouraged by that, Kevin.
Excellent. Good
All right,
stuff.
man. What a fun day.
Let's do it again next week.
You got it. I'll be ready.
I'll try to be watching for you.
Hey, I was loving the conversation. You guys were going at it. I'm sorry that guy's had so many medical challenges. But he did bring up the lion diet, right? He brought up the lion diet.
Well, hold on, because let me clarify. And also, Mike's kind of a regular around here.
Yeah.
Mike is also an airline pilot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, commercial airline pilot.
Wow.
And owner operator. Yeah, it's got amazing experience. So just so you know, he's way healthier than he used to be.
Oh, really?
So this is one of those cases of switching to a keto carnivore diet years ago.
Yeah.
Solving all kinds of health issues, being really healthy. But then, and we're seeing more of this, and that's kind of what I was talking about, this pattern of these issues that we just can't seem to resolve. We're feeling great, but maybe just one thing that we can't seem to resolve, no matter how good the diet is.
Right.
And we're starting to realize that the diet really helps a lot, and it's got to be the first step.
Yeah.
But then we started talking about the forever chemicals, the
Right.
glyphosate in everything, the
Oh,
EMFs that we're surrounded with, the stress of our current lifestyle, all the light pollution, that there's still a lot of this we don't know. And the more we study, the more we talk about it. We
yeah.
can't eliminate those things, but maybe we can figure out ways of making it better.
Yeah. Well, as I get older, man, you get more sensitive to stuff. You got to pay attention to all the particulars. It's super important. So I
That's for
appreciate you
sure.
talking to me about it. Yeah, man.
All right.
All right.
We'll do it again next week.
Looking forward to it, pal. Have a great week. Thanks for all you're doing out
All right.
there.
Have a
See ya.
great day. All
Yes,
right.
sir. See you later. See you later.
Phone calls. It's up to you. We're at 9:30. I could quit today. I have a lot going on this week. Or I can stay here and take your calls. Phone lines are open. I have no calls. Let me go back and look to see if I had anything. Maybe I have a little, but so I'll give you a couple minutes here. We'll see if we get any calls. If not, we're going to wrap this up for today. Something I'm looking at, and I may go do some research on this. Now, if I don't get any calls, I may just go do this right now. I've got some couple things I need to research. I need to research Dave Asprey's new claim about diabetes, so I got to go start digging into that. But I also saw this trucking thing, and I'm a little. I'm not even sure what to think about this. I got to try to figure out what this is all about. So NFTs, non-fungible tokens, or I don't really know what NFTs are. I don't really understand this whole topic. I don't really want to know. It doesn't look like something I'm all that interested in. But I see it. You see NFTs being talked a lot about with cryptocurrencies. But I'm a little confused because this website claims trucking empire revolutionizing truck ownership with NFTs. I have no idea what that means. I am completely confused. If there's somebody out there that could call me and help me with this whole how NFTs might have something to do with truck ownership. But then the next sentence really, really worries me. It says, welcome to the future of fractional ownership in the trucking industry. Dive into a revolutionary opportunity with our fractional NFT semi-truck and semi-truck parking land NFTs. I didn't really want to dig in and figure out what the whole NFT is all about, but I'm going to have to now, because if there's some company out there trying to use NFTs, here's the word that really bothers me: fractional ownership. Fractional ownership to me is like a timeshare. There really is no ownership. You're renting. I don't know why we use the word ownership. I do know why. Because people want to feel like they own something. You own nothing. You have no legal right to that item, that land or that building or that apartment or condo or house, other than the 1 week or whatever you have it booked for. That's it. But hell, I have that much ownership if I just go rent something. So this idea of fraction, and by the way, timeshares are a horrible idea. But this idea of a timeshare in a truck, oh, that sounds awful to me. So if you are up on NFTs and you even understand what they're talking about doing here, call me and help me out with this. Yeah, well, here's another. Invest in the future of trucking with Trucking Empire. Our innovative platform allows you to own fractions of trucks and parking land Making truck ownership more accessible. What a horrible idea. Now, I don't understand how the NFT thing works in this, but I do understand fractional ownership, and that is a bad idea. All right, let's get to some phone calls because now they're piling up on me. Let's go to California. Tyler, good morning. What's on your mind today? More minerals. That's always what it is. It, but more minerals and more water. Okay, so if we're getting enough water, are you salting your food enough? You're drinking a gallon of water with 16 capfuls of light balance every day? No, okay, and that's good. That's what I would have recommended, but that's a lot. I mean, normally I say, well, triple the dose. You're at about 8 times the dose. And if that's not helping, then we got to look at something else. Because that would have been my recommendation, and that I would like to say always fixes it, but obviously not. Um, have you taken a NutriQ? Yeah, yeah, this is gonna require some more digging. The NutriQ is the easiest thing to start with, doesn't cost anything, you don't have to go get blood work, you don't have to pee in a cup. It's the easiest way to start. We might see something in there, and we might not, and then we might have to then we get down to 2 things. We either test or we guess. And I'm okay with either one. You know, Dr. Wolfson's saying is test, don't guess. And I get it, and he's really good at that. Testing is expensive and it's time consuming and it's inconvenient. So sometimes I like to tell people, you know, we can try guessing for a while. I mean, we can guess. I could say let's you know, maybe cut that light balance in half, but add a product like Actimag, which is a different form of magnesium. Maybe it's some magnesium we're having issues with. So we could guess and we could try some things. It's not like this is life threatening. So if you wanted to, you could take a NutriQ. We could take a look at things, and I might have some ideas. Beyond that, we would have to start doing some nutritional testing to see what's going on. I'll see you. You've even gone to the second step that I go to, and that's not helping. So I think we're going to end up. We may have to do some testing. Okay, sounds good. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Illinois. Jerry, good morning. You know, you have to set priorities in life. There you go. There you yeah. Hey, I saw your post. Jerry, go ahead. That could be. So I have a sign. That's pretty impressive. That's really impressive. So I have a sign up above the door of my studio. In fact, if you're watching the live stream, you can see it up there. It says, "No one is listening until you make a mistake." Now, I'm not even gonna claim this was a mistake. We have not talked about we have not talked about truck refrigerators on this show in probably It's been years. It's just not a big topic, but I the last when we used to talk about it more often, every time I would recommend to a company driver, just get one of those plug-in 12-volt. I'd get blasted with phone calls. Those things are junk. Mine didn't even last a month, on and on and on. So, um, tell me what kind we should. N- Now, now that you mention that, if we go back far enough, I had the people from Truck Fridge on the show because I was impressed with that one. I know. That was a long time. No, no, that was a long time ago. We just I have not had a refrigerator question for a long time. I I I was pretty impressed with that too. Yeah, right, right. Sure. Right, right. I mentioned that today. That is a big problem. Well, so here we go again. Um, I will still make the claim if we're willing to pay for this, we can make these kinds of improvements. The truck stops themselves, if they're gonna charge for parking, they have to solve this. They're the ones that have the control over this, and they have to solve this somehow. If they have to charge another 50 cents a spot or whatever and hire somebody that is their sole responsibility, that's one solution. But I will tell you this, I don't know why people believe that every other business in the world is just flush with cash and they could do anything they want. Every business I know is competitive. Truck stops are there is no way I'm gonna buy, shares in a truck stop chain. This is not a good investment in my opinion. It's a tough business to run, margins are small. So, they are always short-handed, and that's a problem. I talked about this. I am willing to pay for things, but you damn well better make sure it's right. And this is not right. This has got to be fixed. If you remember, I went on a rant about the tire pass. You spent all this money to put this killer system in so that when I pull up to the fuel pumps, by the time I get done fueling, I can probably be done with my tire service. I am willing to pay for that. I love that idea. Except the first time I go to use it, I stood there for 40 minutes and nobody ever showed up. What so it's the same thing here. I like the fact that you're going to give me a paid parking spot, but you better fix this problem. Now, Truck Parking Club is saying, we can't necessarily stop somebody from pulling in that spot yet, but what we can do is not charge you until you're in the spot. That's an improvement. It doesn't solve everything because if I get there and I can't get a spot, I still can't get a spot. I don't care about the money. I want my spot. So you're right. We got to fix that. Now, from what I understand, from what I understand, that does not happen at truck parking club spots. Right. That's a problem. No, it's not. So no. Yeah, right. And that's a problem. So let's think about this. So at first I thought, why is this group that is an advocate for more truck parking? This group was part of the effort to get that Jason's law into effect. So clearly they care about truck parking. Why are they attacking the one company that's actually trying to do something about it and make it better? And then I found out, digging a little deeper, that they're only pissed off. They're not pissed off that Truck Parking Club is going out and creating new parking places that never even existed before. That's a good thing. They added 600 truck spaces that didn't exist before just in May. That's a pretty big deal, and they're the only company really succeeding at that. Why are they being attacked? Well, then it was because, well, it's not because of the new spots they're making. We're pissed off that they're managing paid parking at truck stops because that takes away current free spots. That's their issue. But wait a minute. Paid parking, I know. Paid parking is an improvement. Now we've identified a problem. Who do you think is going to do a better job of fixing this? A giant corporation that won't even tell you who is in charge of it, or a company where I could get the CEO on my show? I bet I could get him on right now if we wanted to. I bet I could go online. I talk to him all the time. He would come on here. Do you know that? I forget what percentage it is, but a big percentage of their customer service people, the people you call when you have an issue, they're ex truck drivers. That's their model. They go looking for truck drivers to hire. Who do you think is going to be more responsive and help us solve this problem better? A company who only exists because of parking. If they don't help us solve the parking problem, they will disappear. If paid parking at the truck stop fails, the truck stop's not going away. This isn't that big of a deal for them, and you can see it. They're not all in on this. It seems to me like they kind of threw it against the wall to see if it sticks, but they're really not taking care of it all that well, and there are problems. So why are we attacking the one company that can probably solve these problems? Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute, Jerry, you're onto something. You're onto something. So, uh, this is seems like it might be totally off topic, but it's really not, based on what you just said. Have you seen the company Home Title Lock? So, I guess there is a scam out there that they can steal the deed or title from your property from you, and you don't even know it happens. Like, somehow they forge documents. They steal the title to your home, and they can then borrow money against it, and eventually somebody comes looking for the money, and you're not gonna pay it back because you didn't borrow it, and they evict you. I mean, that's worst scenario, you don't own your home. Well, here's the thing, the guy who does the commercial is the scammer. This is the guy that ripped off people's homes from them for years, and he went to prison for it. And now he's the spoke. Yeah, I have problems like this. It's no different than, remember Frank, what was that guy's name? Frank. They did a big movie about him. Leonardo DiCaprio played in the movie. I read the book. I didn't see the movie. But this was the guy that pretended he was a doctor for a while and was actually operating on people, I think. And he ripped off a whole bunch of people by impersonating other people. I actually had a personal connection to the guy. He was a neighbor and friend of one of my business partners in Tulsa. The guy was from Tulsa. Frank Abigail, I think was his name. What was the name of that book or movie? Um, Frank, pretty sure it's Abigail. Yeah, the movie was, what was the name of the movie? I can't find it. I keep seeing Abigail, but I don't, that wasn't the name of it. Anyway, somebody will send it to me. I have a problem with this. You were the crook ripping people off, and now you're making money telling people not how not to be ripped off. Now, it's a free market. You can do whatever you want. But every time I see that commercial for the home title lock, the guy says, people just don't believe I could steal your home. I did it over and over. It's really easy. It's a one-page document. I, now we're rewarding the guy for being a crook. So hopefully you're right that the customer service people are not the people who were stealing the spots before. Yeah, I may have the name wrong. Maybe it wasn't Frank Abigail because I'm coming up with all kinds of weird stuff. No, that's it. I just can't find the name of the movie. Huh. Oh, Catch Me If You Can. Catch Me If You Can. Yeah. Yeah. The same kind of thing. Yeah. He's now making a ton of he's been making a ton of money for years now. And people will say, "Well, look, he was convicted, he served his time." I get that. He should have all of his rights back, but do we really want to reward these people for being crooks? I don't. I know. Correct. It, it yeah, right. Well well, again, let's think about it. The tire pass that thing didn't work, the parking thing it didn't work, but in reality, they can't even seem to solve the problem of people parking on the fuel island. That one makes me absolutely insane. That one I really lose it because I hate the whole fueling process anyway. It's about the worst thing for me when I'm on the road. And, you know, I to claim that I shouldn't have an opinion about this because I'm not currently a commercial driver, um, that's kinda funny too. Like, come on, really? Of course not. Of course, but you I and let's talk about this. Maybe I quit actually driving the vehicle. But if I were driving the vehicle, I would not have the time to do all of the stuff I have right now. But I have never, not for 1 hour, been away from the trucking industry. It's all I've ever done. We're- we're- So, so here's the cool thing. And I had Evan, the CEO, on a space the other day, and I am getting him back on the show so we can talk about it. Here is a misconception, and we had this question on the space. Because they called it a club, everybody thinks there's a fee. There's no fee. Not to just get the app and find spaces. You only pay per space when you park. There is no monthly fee to this. It's not like you pay $30 a month and then you have to pay for parking. The service itself, there's no charge, even though they call it a club. So you just go download the app and look around, and if it's going to work out for you and there's a space where you need one, you book it, and then you just pay for that space. So there'd really be no reason not to have the app on your phone, and if you need it someday, it'll be there. Uh-oh. Jerry? Ooh. Oh, he dropped hard that time. All right, Jerry, we'll talk again later. Let's go to Houston. Mark, welcome to the program. Yeah, right. Yeah. So, you know what this kind of reminds me of? I haven't had this conversation in a long time, but you've been listening a long time. When we used to talk about APUs or, air conditioners or, all those, that whole topic. And I used to say, hey, there's one big resource that people actually seem to avoid in this industry, and I don't understand why. And for me, that was a hotel. Once in a while, a hotel is a really nice investment. There's some good deals out there. You can find and now I get a nice bed with the room to stretch out. I might have a gym and a pool. I might have good access to food. I could have groceries delivered while I'm here. If I were driving today and I had to do a 34-hour reset, I probably wouldn't have to if you know how to manage it. But if I had to, every 34-hour reset for me would be in a hotel. I would reset everything then. I'm going to order some groceries. I'm going to clean up. I'm going to, hang out in the pool or the spa or whatever. It's almost like people resist that. And I'm not telling you, they're like, oh, well, there's just not many times where I could take the time to go. Well, of course not. I'm not telling you you're going to do this every night, but why do you have such black and white thinking about everything? If I have the paid parking club app on my phone, if I'm willing to get a hotel once in a while, those are all tools, and you start to solve this problem on your own, and pretty soon you realize, hey, there really is no problem. Yeah. Right. Yeah, yeah, I do agree. We have to improve that. If that's happening, if people are just taking spots, and look, even if I get there and I have to go look for somebody and they have to chase somebody out, that's a problem. That to me is not what I'm paying for. I don't want to have to go look for somebody and take another half hour, 45 minutes, or an hour. I'm tired. I want to get to sleep. I reserved the space for this. So I will agree. If that's going on, they better fix that one quick. Yeah, that needs to be fixed. Now, now, well, now, see, I would be all for them enforcing it 24 hours a day. To me, it treat it like a handicap spot. I don't care if there's 6 handicap spots open. You don't park in one. You might argue that there shouldn't be 6 because they're always empty. I get that, but they are what they are, and if you allow people to do it during the day, then they're going to do. And what if I reserved a spot and I get there and the one I want you're sitting in and you didn't pay for it, and so I would rather see them enforce it completely than do what they're doing now. Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, no, I agree. All right. Yeah. We're gonna work on it. Like I said, I'm gonna get Evan back on the show. I believe if anybody is working to solve these things, it's them. And I'm pretty confident they'll find a ways. The sharp guys come up with some good ideas already. Let's go to Kansas City. Carl, welcome. What's on your mind today? Oh boy. So, what was the highest A1C you ever recorded, and when was it? Okay. What What's the highest you've ever recorded? The highest A1C you can remember having. So, have you been diagnosed as diabetic? No, that's what I mean. I wanna go back to that. Before you ever started keto, um, and you said medications. Tell me what medications you were on. Metformin? Okay, good, good. Yeah. So that first off, that this is not uncommon. We see this quite a bit, and honestly, we can't even really explain it. But we've also how long have you been back on keto now without getting any results? Okay. Um, have you ever worn a CGM, continuous glucose monitor? I would do it. I would do it. We have to figure out what is spiking your blood sugar this time. Why are we up at 200? Are you eating a lot of protein? Okay, here's what I want you to do. I I I want you to back off the meat a little, but not really back it off. I just want you to make sure you're getting as much or even more fat than protein. If you are really insulin resistant, protein can spike blood sugar. Fat never does. So what I am finding some people that when they start eating, you might be eating more carnivore than keto. And carnivore is keto, but we have to make sure we get enough fat. And if we're insulin resistant, you are, we got to be careful with the protein. So if you remember, keto, the way I used to describe it is accurate. It should be a high fat, moderate protein diet, low carb. But we always said moderate protein, and there was a reason. And then we started seeing people really succeeding with carnivore, and we thought, well, maybe the protein isn't a problem. And for a lot of people, it's not. But if you are too insulin resistant, the protein can be a problem. Now, I don't want you to quit eating meat, not by any stretch. And I certainly don't want you to quit eating eggs. Eggs come with a nice load of fat and protein. What I want you to do is make sure when you're eating meat, you're eating really fatty cuts. Like don't eat a sirloin or don't eat a New York strip. Make sure it's a ribeye that hasn't been trimmed or high fat ground beef. Like at least like a 70-30 blend of ground beef so we're getting more fat. And then add even more fat. Cook the meat in butter or lard or tallow. Use, mayonnaise-based sauces with the meat. Let's try to get more fat and back off a little on the protein. And then, if you wanted to do a NutriQ, we could look to see if maybe there are some digestive reasons why it's not working this time. You will here's what I will tell you. Almost everybody I have worked with has gone through this at least once. I did too, and I remember my sense of panic. So the first time I went low carb, the weight just fell off. It was so easy. And then I was experimenting with things and I gained like 15 pounds back. And I thought, oh, no big deal. I'll just go real low carb again. And I did. And I didn't lose a single pound. I mean, the weight did not even budge the second time. And I panicked. I'm like, oh my God, I thought this worked and it's not working. And what am I going to do? And then the next thing I know, I just kept with it and it worked. And I did fix some digestive issues. Poor fat digestion can do this because if you can be eating enough fat, but if you're not digesting it, you'll have this issue. So, give the NutriQ a shot, and we can go from there. But I will promise you this: we fix it every time. Sounds good. Yep. And we will talk to you soon. You're welcome. Let's go to Arizona. Dave, welcome. All right, let's take a look. I've got it here in front of me. We're looking at a DD15 with, well, you're coming up on 1,000,000 miles on this. Got 38,000 on the oil. And I can't imagine a cleaner oil sample than this one. It is. It doesn't have any oxidation. Sometimes when it sits, it can oxidize more, but this is I don't wanna call it a perfect sample, but it's darn close to it. I mean, there's nothing for me to address on here at all. Maybe never. Well, I see. uh, well, no, not at a certain mileage. Here's why we rebuild diesel engines, and then I'll explain why you may not have to anymore. The only reason we do an in-frame or a rebuild is because the cylinder kits are worn out. The parts in the cylinder liner, the pistons and rings are worn out. We and really what we wear out is the crosshatch on the liner itself. And when we do that, then the rings don't seal as tight against the cylinder, and we can get blow by in either direction. Our fuel can blow by the rings and end up in the crankcase, and we would get fuel dilution. You have no fuel dilution whatsoever. So we don't have blow by into the crankcase, or we can get blow by the other way. The oil from the crankcase makes it past the rings because they're not sealing anymore, and then we burn that oil. How often do you have to add a gallon of oil to this truck? Stop putting a half gallon in. Don't 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 add when it's only a half gallon low. You've got 11 gallons in there. The engine is designed, if you look at your marks, the full mark to the add mark is 1 gallon. So if you wait until you get to the add mark, even the OEM is telling you, you don't need to add until you get down to this line on the dipstick, and that's 1 gallon. Sometimes I see engines, if you add a half gallon, it'll burn that half gallon right back off again. But if you wait for it to get to a gap, but even if it is a half gallon at 20,000 miles, that would be a gallon at 40,000 probably. We don't even think about an in-frame until you have to put in a gallon at 5,000 miles. There's no reason to think about doing an in-frame on this engine, none whatsoever. There are no indications that it needs it. There are no indications that it is even close to needing it. Oh, absolutely. Now, I always like to make sure everybody has all the information. It's possible. I don't want you to worry because you have a really good, strong engine here at 900,000 miles. This one is incredible. There is always a chance, this is something mechanical, you could suffer what we call a catastrophic failure. You could have a crankshaft. Um, we could spin a bearing. We could break a connecting rod and put it through the block. I mean, we can wipe out an engine and we never see it coming. Oil samples won't give us the clue. It's metal fatigue and there's no way to test for it. It's rare. I don't want you to worry about it. But I just want you to know if you call me a week from now and go, my engine blew up. I put a crank through or a connecting rod through the block. And you told me everything was fine. Everything is fine, as far as we know. And if I knew a way to test for metal fatigue, we'd probably do it, but there is none. It's one of the things that could potentially happen, but it's really, really rare. You just have a good, strong engine here. Good. Yep. You mean you want to replace parts before they break? Yeah, somewhat. I mean, we went down that path for a while. I worked with ATBS, and ATBS even had a maintenance program like this where they would manage it for you, and they modeled it after the airline industry. And I came from somewhat of an aviation background. I worked on helicopters for 3 years in the Army, and we did that. With a helicopter, you don't wait for something to break. You always replace things before they break, because if you don't, people die. And it sounded like a good idea. So ATBS built this plan. It was fairly well priced, I thought. It kind of bombed. And I've looked at fleets that have tried this. It doesn't seem to work nearly as well in trucking. Um, Again, aviation, there's a big safety factor there. People could die. Um, I just have not found any clear advantage to trying to replace a lot of parts before they break. Every time I monitored it, people's cost of maintenance went up, not down. The whole point is if we catch something before it breaks, it won't be a service call. We won't be in the shop waiting for But in reality, every time I tried to track this, everybody that was in a program like this spent more money than people who weren't in a program like this. So what's the point? Now, there are some things we do know, and we even have a list somewhere. I haven't seen it in a while, but like your crankshaft damper should be replaced around 500,000 miles. But even some of this has changed. We used to say replace fuel lines around 750. On any of the modern trucks, I wouldn't bother. They don't deteriorate anymore. So what we're finding is honestly, oh, go ahead. The damper, that should be replaced at 500,000. Yeah. Nope, that should be replaced every 500,000. But there just aren't that many things anymore that we replace ahead of time on trucks. You kinda if you know your truck, you know when something may be getting worn out, and I could certainly do it then. But, we tried that list, and it just it doesn't work. People were replacing things that they probably didn't need to. Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah, good, good. Yeah, that kind of stuff makes sense, but it's more individual. You knew that that was an issue on your truck. But if we put out that everybody should replace their coolant reservoir at this many miles, when we followed those kind of programs, we ended up spending more money. Well, that's what I mean. So you waited for it to leak, and it didn't leave you broke down on the side of the road, right? No, exactly. So it's when we own the truck, we kind of know what's going on. If the more you look at your truck, the more you know this stuff, and you can wait until something either breaks or almost breaks, and then replace it, and you really don't have to worry about being on the side of the road. And honestly, the manufacturing processes are getting better. The trucks are getting better. We just don't replace a lot of these parts much anymore. What engine? Is this an ISX? Oh, that's right, I'm looking at the oil sample. I don't even know what the schedule is on that. We don't even talk about replacing that. It's just not, and clearly, and what are you watching for? It and I would say just continue that. That's working for you, and that does work better than trying to anticipate and replace things early. I would check with the same companies like Chilton's, and you mentioned another one. I would just check with them. And somebody may send me a specific name. I'm not aware of one. I know they're out there, but I would think it would be the same companies that make the manuals you've always bought for your cars. I would check there for yeah. And if somebody lets this would be a great question on Tuesdays. The guys at Pittsburgh Power probably know. Mhm. Oh, I love eh, absolutely, absolutely, and I love that you're doing that, and I love you're willing to learn new things. If you get a chance, call us back tomorrow, and maybe and I'll go look for some today as well. All right? You're welcome. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Iowa this time. Brad, welcome to the program. Now now did you say did I hear IBS? Well, there's the problem. I mean, the standard American diet leads to pretty horrendous digestive issues. We have all kinds of names for it: IBS, IBSD, IBSC, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis. It's poor stomach acid. The standard American diet is horrible for our digestive system. And at 14, I'm not surprised she has these problems. But if you've listened to the show, you know I only have one answer. That's it. And we could take that to her ear issue. Her immune system is compromised. Her immune system is not fighting off whatever infection is causing her ear issue. That's some sort of an infection. I'm almost positive of it. So what she has is inflammation. So when they say there's nothing there, they're wrong. If she's got pain, there's inflammation. If she's got pain, something is wrong, or she's lying. I mean, those are and I doubt that she's lying. So they can stand there and say all they want. We can't find why her ear hurts. Here's what they're telling you: they can't find anything that they can write a prescription for. That's all they're saying. They're just saying, look, we can't find something that we could write a prescription for. But to say nothing's wrong is ignorant. Something's wrong. She just told us something's wrong. Now it can't hurt. Yeah, it can't hurt getting her in alignment, a chiropractor. I'm a big believer in chiropractic. You might be on the right track. If she's kind of high strung and tense and worries about things, then yes, she probably is clenching her jaw at night or even during the day. And that could be causing some jaw pain. And that nerve on the jaw pain is right by your ear. So maybe it's not her ear that's bothering her. Maybe it is the jaw itself. So we could work on that, but ultimately the diet is always the first step. I mean, we could work on all kinds of stress reduction techniques that probably aren't going to help much. Well, I doubt that she has ulcers. If I could talk to her or if she filled out a NutriQ, I could look at her symptoms and probably tell you exactly what's going on with her gut. But I doubt that it's ulcers. That would be much further down my list. Ulcers are fairly rare. What do that would lead me closer to maybe it's an ulcer, because it's happening so fast. The food isn't, or fill out the NutriQ first. I mean, because all I'm gonna tell, well, maybe I could question her enough about her symptoms, but one you just gave me is a clue. If it's happening within 10 minutes, the food hasn't made it through the stomach yet. So if the pain is that fast and the pain seems to be in the see, sometimes it's really hard to tell. Is that our stomach hurting? Is it our gallbladder hurting? Is it our pancreas hurting? Is it our liver hurting? They're all right there. And we can't always determine, but time can tell us something. If you're eating and having pain within 10 minutes, that's probably stomach related, and it could be an ulcer, it could be weak stomach acid. But again, if I could hear more of her symptoms, I could help more. But here's the other thing I will tell you. When somebody has this kind of problem at 14, if she doesn't do something at 30, she will probably be losing parts of her digestive system. They'll take them out eventually. We all were. Right. Right. We all were. And we still are. Yeah. So if you can get her to change her diet, or if you can get her to call here with you, or if we can get her to do a NutriQ, we can certainly help. In fact, none of this is all that difficult. This is stuff we do all the time. Well, yeah. It The nice thing about supplements like, bile salts is you're not gonna hurt anything if we just try stuff, throw things at it, see what happens, but we could do much better than that. We can isolate what's really going on here. And here's part of the problem again. IBS stands for irritable bowel syndrome. It's too early in the game yet. They don't know exactly what it is. Is it Crohn's? Is it UC? Um, as it gets worse and they put a name to it, like Crohn's or UC, then they can prescribe her a drug, and they will. And then things will just get worse from there. Excellent. Exactly. And it's frustrating. I know, and we've talked about when your spouse won't change, how frustrating that is. The worst though are your kids. I mean, we really, really want to help our kids, and we hate to see our kids suffer. And you now know there is a way to fix this. Your wife doesn't believe that. That's the difference. She just hasn't been exposed to it enough, and she just doesn't believe that it would work. That makes it worse. That, well, that makes it worse. Right. She belongs to the system that created the problem. Well, I can tell you it's not gonna go away. You can hope all you want. When she's got digestive issues like this at 14, they're gonna get worse. unless she changes her diet. Let's go to Iowa. Brandy, welcome. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, my opinion, you shouldn't have to do that. That would piss me off. That would piss me off enough to stop using that service. Well, we gotta fix that. Um, Truck Parking Club, I don't know if they're out of Texas or not. They're everywhere. I mean, these guys are working hard. Every conference I've been to in the last year, I see them, but I don't know that they're out of Texas. Yeah. Hey, hey, hold on. You just gave me a great idea. We have a great relationship with Garmin, and we have a great relationship with Truck Parking Club. That's a good idea. I'm making a note. Yeah. So, so I don't know who you heard on Dave Nemo. It very well could have been Evan. He's really all over the industry trying to get this thing up and running because it's a business model that's never been proven. That's always challenging. I mean, and he knows he's got a challenge here, but he's a really sharp guy. He's doing a great job at this. But they have locations in Texas. They're all over the country, but their home office is Georgia. That's what I thought, Marietta. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially because most of these spots are not truck stops. Their model is we are. And the only reason I'm doing this is because I like the company so much. I want to support them, and especially now since there's a group that's even attacking them. We're pretty sure I got a few details I have to work out, but I think I can create one truck parking space at our warehouse. We have a lot of people that stop in, they pick up their stuff, and they go. But I'm pretty sure I could create one for overnight. Yeah, and we would never bother anybody if they did, but if we could make it official, you don't have to worry about, somebody's gonna kick you out in the middle of the night. We're gonna do that. And they do allow locations with just one spot. And if you've slept there, if you've got some extra time, you can walk right into town. It's a nice walk into town. The river's right there. It's very quiet. So we're gonna see if we can turn at least put one spot out there. And then honestly, I got thinking about something else. I was on city council for a while, and I don't want to go back on city council, but I know a lot of people, and it's a small town. We have really nice on-street parking in town, and I might, and we've got a scale here with some space. I might approach the city and put together a program for them to become part of Truck Parking Club and open up some spots here in town. Yes, yes, you are exactly right. Yeah, yeah. That this whole we're gonna help drivers prevent chronic diseases by making it easier to find a doctor and having them do sit-ups in their bunk. Come on. Or we'll tell them what food they can eat, at any fast food that stuff's not gonna work. Come on, we've been doing this for so long. That's the same old tired advice they've been giving us for 5 decades. Go to your doctor, listen to your doctor. Listening to our doctor is how we got here. What's that? Okay. Who's the author? So could this be the book by Annie Jacobson? Does that sound right? Yeah, new book just came out at the end of March. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put this on my Kindle. Looks interesting. It's got a lot of boy, for being so new, it's got a lot of really good ratings too. Holy cow. All right. I just added it to my Kindle. Yeah, I just added it to my Kindle. Looks like a good one. All right. All right. I You're welcome. Jerry's throwing fits right now. Jerry probably turned his radio off, didn't you, Jerry? He knows what I'm talking about. Let's go to Wisconsin. Jimmy, welcome to the program. Sure. Oh, oh, it the 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 estimates we have now. This is if the government's going to create spots, but this also kind of applied to the free market. The estimate is to put in one trucking spot cost between 75 and $150,000. We know who leaves it. Exactly. But do you know how I'm going to go back to we are sometimes our own worst enemy in this industry because we won't just be honest about what's going on. I'm going to go back to this was probably 10 years ago. And for whatever reason, some kind of mainstream news did an article, a write up about the piss bottles on the side of the road and how it was becoming such a big deal for the maintenance workers, hitting them with mowers. They had to go out there and pick them up, and they did a big write up about it. So it was in the mainstream media, and people were talking about it. And do you know? And I know I pick on OIDA a lot, but I do for a reason. They put themselves out as representing us, and I have a problem with the way they do it a lot of times. Do you know what their response was to that article? Now, here's what it should have been. You're right, it's a problem. Here's a program, and here's how we're trying to fix it. That's what the response should have been from an advocacy group. Instead, it was, well, that's not all truck drivers, four-wheelers do it too. That was their response. E- e- Exactly. I'm sure somebody in a four-wheeler pisses in a bottle and throws it out, but I also have to believe it's less than 5% of the problem. And when you're being confronted with the problem and all you say is, well, it's not just us, you sound like a 12-year-old. Clearly, truck drivers have a problem with this. We are the issue. To then try to sidestep and go, oh, yeah, but the four-wheelers do it too. What a horrible response. It, I, I don't I can't imagine throwing a piece of trash out of a window in a vehicle or in a parking. To me, I can't even imagine doing that. I have such a strong opinion about that. Exactly. Right. Right. It just pick it up. I know. I No, I do it too. I I right. Yeah, I know. Me either. All right. All right. Thanks for the call. Good stuff. We're going to wrap this up for today. We will see you back here tomorrow for the Power Hour. Let me check and see if I have any announcements today. Uh, nope, I don't think so. Frank Abagnale. That I was saying his word wrong. That was probably the problem. Not Abigail, Abagnale. Yeah, that sounds right. All right. We're going to wrap this up. We will see you back here tomorrow. It is the Power Hour. We'll see you then. Be safe, be profitable, be fit and healthy. Always do the hard work and master the journey. All right. We'll see you then.